I mean, that actually, to be honest with you, was the beginning of my kind of downfall into a very dark place with my relationship with, I guess, wellness.
Hello, my name is Erika Lemay. I'm the founder of Lab, all performance and movement longevity. Today, I'm having a conversation with Leah Simmons, a woman who is very difficult to define. And I think if I try to read some sort of a CV, it will not do her justice. She's really out of the box, unconventional woman who is the founder of KAAIAA, a training program and method, but much more. And our conversation is going very personal, from perimenopause, specific techniques in training, troubles that women encounter, to her very dark moments when it's time to be a fitness instructor and you have to have the perfect body and so on. She's a very open woman and a beautiful example of life, I think, and in business as well. So let's welcome Leah. Leah Simmons, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me, Erika. It's lovely to be here.
I cannot define you. You're an out-of-the-box person. So let me start by asking you, where do you think your desire to help people, or women, but people, comes from?
Well, that's a really good question to start with. I'm going to be completely and utterly honest with you. I think the desire to help people actually came from the desire to help myself first. Um, Everything that I have done in my life, and there has been a lot of things, but I guess the most recent iteration of Leah Simmons came from having to sort of scratch my own itch. I was looking for a way to, I suppose, pull myself out of a place where I wasn't enjoying being. And the way that I do that is through doing. So it's always through experimenting things and finding, testing out different things for myself. And I sort of landed on a few modalities that really, I guess, helped me from not just from a physical perspective, but from an emotional and a mental perspective as well. And I suppose there's a part of my personality that also really is very fascinated with logic and efficiency and how do I make this better and how can I make this less or more enjoyable for me so that I can create a habit out of it. And so it just sort of snowballed into this thing where I was seeing such good results from some of the things that I was implementing into my life that I thought, well, if I'm not special, I'm not unique, I'm not different to any other sort of 40 plus person or woman out there, perhaps this might also help some other people. So I just sort of threw it out there, and it in fact did and does. So I think it becomes this real, it's like an addiction, I suppose, in the best possible way. I don't know if there are, but it became sort of obsession of mine to get this out to as many women as possible because I just saw so many people struggling with perimenopause, into menopause, symptoms that were just being, I guess, glossed over by countless medical professionals. But this is a real thing. And I really wanted to create a community where it was, or a space for a community of people to come together and talk about that which we were not allowed to talk about and provide some practical solutions for them to really sort of take back control of their health. And for me, the joy is seeing the joy in these women, and it just becomes this sort of self-fulfilling prophecy now, and I can't stop it.
That's great also because I think that your business, or business is a big word, because I think that probably your life and your business are kind of crisscrossing each other all the time. But
well, I'm fortunate about that. I think that I am somebody that can say I really do. It is my passion, and I've managed to turn it into a business. So.
And you manage the whole thing. Therefore, the business can evolve with your own needs and your own, the way you define yourself. And maybe that's, I'm very fascinated by the idea and the struggle of redefining oneself. I think in a way that it comes from, being a performer, and you grow up at 4 years old and you're already tagged the performer. And then if you lose your body capacities, then you need to redefine. That's a very big struggle for performers. You seem to have done that several times, redefining yourself from DJ, record label executive, KAAIAA, which I want to talk about in a second. But I'm aware that these processes are not as smooth as they look from the outside, because obviously the outside world, they see it once it's done, or somehow you have a certain success in the new, whatever is new that you're doing. But I know that the road is bumpy, and the redefining progress and process is very bumpy and can be difficult, like two steps, one step forward and sometimes two steps backward for many years. How did you navigate that? Because yours seems very smooth in every way. Are you want to go with the flow, or it's been very difficult and we just don't know about?
Look, I think there's been a few factors in place, and look, I wouldn't by any stretch of the imagination say that it was a smooth ride. Don't believe everything that you see out there. I think that there was, for me in my life, there was a natural end to a period. So growing up, I was music was my first love. I was very, very musical at school. I was a singer. I played the piano. I played various instruments. When I left school, I wanted to pursue music. So, but I didn't particularly want to go and further study. So I went and I was a very experiential person. I wanted to just get out there and be in the thick of it. And so I went and started to become a DJ. And back then, I mean, that was the late 90s. I think I was one of two female DJs in Sydney, Australia, where I live and where I come from. So it was a challenge. It was almost a challenge for me to want to try and conquer this sort of very male-dominated space. And I was very good at what I did, and I sort of started climbing that ladder quite quickly. And then I had an amazing opportunity very early on. It was around the year 2000. I won a global competition to take part in something called the Red Bull Music Academy, which was the first year that they ran it. They had I think over 3,000 entrants, and 16 people got chosen from around the world to go and experience 2 weeks in a global city, being mentored by some of the cream of the music, the cream of the crop for the music industry. And I was very fortunate that I was selected. But 2 days before I was supposed to leave, September 11 happened in New York. It was supposed to be in New York, and the plans changed. We ended up going to London, and that sort of set me on a very different path. I fell in love with London. And
I mean, that's the scene when it comes to underground music.
In the early
it was
2000s. It was, I mean, there was nowhere better on the planet.
Yeah.
I somehow managed to wangle my way into becoming a label manager for a massive independent breakbeat label. I don't know how. I think it was because I was a Capricorn and that I was Australian. I'm fairly certain that I don't know. But anyway, I find myself, 2002, running at 24 years old, this huge record label, having the time of my life, touring around Europe, just being, and no social media. And this was when, marketing budgets actually existed, and you could go out and have a really lovely time. And that was my life for, 5 years. I had a band. I was the lead singer in a band. I played at Glastonbury. I honestly, fitness and wellness, wellness wasn't even a word. It just wasn't a word. And mental health wasn't something that we sort of attributed to everybody having. It was, it was very, didn't think about it. And, but funnily enough, I was just about to turn 30. And I could feel myself starting to think, this is a bit Groundhog Day-ish. It's the partying and the nightclubs and it's just going through the motions. And iTunes had just been launched, and literally overnight, the bottom fell out of the independent record label industry, because all of a sudden, a song or a piece of vinyl that was worth £18 in a store was now worth less than £1 online. And our distribution company went bankrupt pretty much overnight. So many labels went under, and I thought, this is a sign for me. My sister in Australia was about to have her first baby. I thought, right, I'm done now. I want something different. So at 30 years old, I moved back to Australia. It was 2006, 2007, and I thought, okay, what do I want to do now? What's my next career going to be?
Oh,
And
that's
funnily
a
enough, my
cool
mum,
place to be,
yeah,
though. Like,
I know.
why
I
canvas?
just 100%. I was never one to be like, oh, this is what I have to do for eternity. Or I mean, you talk about defining. I never defined myself by what I did. I never really, and I still don't. I don't define myself by, the label that I have at this moment, because I know that it can just change on a dime,
Yeah.
and so it should. I think that we're here to experience everything that life can offer you, but it's about having the confidence and the I guess the discipline. I think discipline, and you would know, in your discipline and commitment and resilience is so important, and that's something that you learn over time. But when you're kind of 25, you think you're bulletproof, you've got the whole world ahead of you. And so I just thought, and I also think back then it was much easier to just pivot into a different profession. There wasn't so much global stress and weight. We didn't wear, the weight of all these things happening around the world on our shoulders. And so it was a little bit less, there was less consequence, I think, for sort of deciding that you wanted to just be something different or do something different. But as I was saying, my mum used to take me to her Pilates classes when I would come back to Australia, because she'd look at me like walking out of the airport and just be like, you look like death. You've been living in a nightclub for a year. Come here. And I fell in love with the method. And this was back in like 2006, when it wasn't cool.
Every corner.
It was like, it was rehabby, it was dancers,
Yeah.
it was,
Your mom was really cool.
It was my mum. That was the clientele. But it really, it changed my physique in a way that my posture, it really sort of sorted me out, and I loved it, and I fell in love with it, and I thought, like, this is what I want to do. I want to pivot from being a nighttime animal to a daytime animal. And so I went down the road of fitness, and I did my studio certification. I did my PT qualification, and that was 20 years ago, and I'm still here. So, and I've been in I've worked in various studios, but my life, I think, if you look at, I mean, it's interesting because obviously social media became sort of prevalent around about that time, and I guess I was one of what you would call the first influencers. I don't know, people that were online, that were sharing workouts and that sort of thing. But I mean, that actually, to be honest with you, was the beginning of my kind of downfall into a very dark place with my relationship with, I guess, wellness.
How
And
so?
well, I think before we knew what we were doing in terms of trying to get that perfect shot and trying to portray this perfect lifestyle, and everything is, we have it, we've sort of got everything covered. Meanwhile, there's 100 photos in your camera roll that you're not happy with. The plate of food that you've just shot as my day on a plate, you've chucked in the bin. The pressure to kind of keep this ideal physique whilst making it look effortless was really starting to take its toll on me. And some of the practices that I would put out there that, I would say that I was doing, I wasn't, and I was actually doing quite the opposite. And it was just to keep up this facade of, and I think we didn't know it at the time, but we actually didn't realize, or I not say I didn't realize how influential social media could be, and how there's like people on the other side of the screen that are taking what you say as gospel and doing what you do and believing what you are putting out there. And once I started to realize that this is actually, I've descended into a space of like complete cognitive dissonance, where I was saying one thing but doing another. I was overtraining, I was starving myself, my relationships were falling apart, I was angry all the time, my periods stopped. Like there was all these things, whilst the world thought that I was this like ideal physique
Healthy
and the,
image
you
of
know, the
health.
picture of health. And I just got to this breaking point where I was like, I can't do this anymore. I can't do this anymore. And by this stage, I had a small child. I had my son, who's now almost 16. But I could see the toll that it was taking. I wasn't with his father anymore, and my relationship with even my son was starting to suffer. I was just so absorbed, like self-absorbed, with having to keep up appearances. And in the meantime, I'd met my now ex-husband, but somebody who played a very important role in my life, not only because I ended up having another child with him, but also he lived in Bali, and going over there and spending a lot of time over there was the best thing that could have ever happened to me in that moment, because I was introduced to many different modalities and many different methods that really helped me realize that true health is so much more than just your physicality. So, you know, there's so many more pillars to health than just physical health. You've got a mental health, you have emotional health, there's your spiritual health. Like, how connected are you to yourself and to those around you? And my question around all of that was, okay, well, if you can train your body to look after your physical health, how do you train your mental health? How do you look after the emotional part of you, which is so intrinsically linked to everything? And that's something that I sort of discovered through all of this work, is that you can't be, you know, performing at your peak in one and not paying attention to the other. It just doesn't. They're all
At some
connected.
point, it clashes sooner or
Exactly.
later.
So, you know, doing things like breath work, Kundalini yoga, which I fell in love with and immediately became a practitioner. And I had to learn how to share this amazing method because it was so powerful. Meditation, mindfulness, obviously, practices like, you know, there was a lot of things that I was dabbling in and doing and learning and experimenting with. And some I didn't resonate with, and others have stayed with me, you know, to this day. And I felt like I had found the holy grail. It was like, how is not, like, why is this not in the mainstream?
Yeah.
And I realized that it's because you can't see the effect, right? We're so obsessed with the physical and like what you can see. And so our first point of call when we think about training is obviously our aesthetics. Like, how's it going to make me look? So I was like, like, you know, like I used to make for my children spaghetti bolognese. I used to hide all the vegetables in the bolognese so they'd never know they were in there. Like, how do I hide all of these modalities into a workout so people don't know they're doing it, but they're doing it? And me, obviously, my music background, I used to remix a whole bunch of things. And I thought, I'm just going to remix all the best parts of the stuff that I love that work for me into something new that that people can do every day. It takes less than an hour. It gives them 4 modalities in one. It's safe for them. And that was really the birth of KAAIAA. KAAIAA really is, it's a combination of breath work, body work, meditation, and mindset training, sort of wrapped up under the guise of a workout.
Like a culmination
And,
of your life experience.
That's right.
I want to backtrack a little bit, because to me, I'm impressed by the fact that you seem to have, you say you were really deep in this darkness at some point, which I fully understand. And I think we have something in common, that we're both, let's vulgarize it, but like a personality, to be like fully into something. It's like 24 hours a day and it's all that matters and so on. And you seem to have climbed back from the darkness in quite a good light way. Do you think that your personality, the fact that you're able to fall in love deeply and like really, really being super passionate about something helped you to switch channel and be able to, yeah, get out of
Yes.
this dirty, yeah.
Yes. Something really powerful that I teach the women that come through my program, because one of the things that I learnt, and it was through obviously trying it one way first and realizing that that doesn't work, so I have to change it, is that intention without action leads nowhere, which is why I'm not a fan of positive affirmations. I feel like that's one piece of the puzzle. And you can stand in front of a mirror until eternity saying, I am insert word here. But unless you combine it with some sort of corresponding action and repeat the process day after day, you are going to get nowhere. So, what I realized, the only positive affirmation or sentence or mantra or whatever you want to call it that I would repeat to myself that actually made a difference to my life and helped me get out of this hole was, I am responsible for my own change. That's it.
Be
Nobody else.
congruent.
I am responsible for my own change. And if I want change, I have to make it happen. And I was sitting there, I was seeing my son, I was seeing my daughter, and I was like, if something doesn't change, then this is going to end really badly. And who's going to come and save me? No one.
No one.
No one's coming to save me. I have to save myself. So, and listen, this has been a 10-year process. This has been, as you said at the beginning, it's been 2 steps forwards, 3 steps back. It's been, it's been this sort of thing. The hardest mountain to climb for me was right at the beginning, was actually taking that first step and going, okay, I now need to accept responsibility for where I am. I need to just scrap everything, start again, and I need to be consistent around it. This is going to take time. And that is how I did. It was just daily, daily. And that's why I took the pressure off of having to, do 4 or 5 things a day. It was like, if I can just do this one thing, if I can get this one task done, that's a tick. Like that's my day. And I started there. You start small with achievable small wins, and you celebrate them along the way as well. And then it just kind of started to snowball from there. And the better I felt, the more I wanted to do it. And the more I wanted to do it, the better I felt. So it was this kind of, it was this really beautiful journey that started to happen. And look, don't get me wrong, it wasn't linear. There wasn't like a straight line all the way up to, and also, make no mistake, I'm nowhere near, I don't chase perfection. I chase progress. I like to know that things are progressing, but everything is changing and evolving around you. You don't know where you're going to be tomorrow.
Yeah, that's something
So
you
if I can
learned, though.
exactly, and I've sort of turned it into a little bit of a mission of mine to help. If my words or my thought processes or one interaction with me can help somebody, a woman, start to critically think about their own situation and take those actionable steps, then my job is done. That's it. Like, I really do feel like that's it's about giving power back to them to be able to make decisions for themselves.
Yeah, that's
Because if you
beautiful.
don't make it for yourself, you won't do it.
That seems like your whole mission or has shifted entirely from the moment that you said that. Then you noticed that this was a dark place to be. I'm wondering just one last thing on that purpose. When your whole image or in the world, because it's about image, although there's a mission behind, but was about your body, and you knew that this was not healthy. Is there one moment that you decided, okay, I'm going to have to let go of that body that I've been, like, it's been my obsession for so long in order to move ahead? Is there one moment? And then if so, How did it feel? How did you deal with that? How did you do the step of, okay, I have to get out and let that beauty perfection go?
The feeling inside just became, it overrode what was happening on the outside. And to be honest, the body looked the way it looked, but it felt like shit.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry, but it did. There's no other way to describe it, and it got too much. I was my energy levels were in the toilet. I was sore all the time. I actually wasn't. The body was. It wasn't a functional body.
You can't recover anymore.
No,
Yeah.
and it was letting me down, and so I really did realize that you have to sort of start to make some concessions around. But actually, it's so funny. I now at 48 look, feel, can lift heavier, function better than I did at 38 when I thought that my body was like physical perfection.
Yeah.
So it's just, we have this view of ourselves, and it's such a skewed view because it, the most people out there aren't looking as critically at you as you are
As you
looking
are.
at yourself,
Of
and
course.
you don't look at other people as critically as they would look at themselves. And so I think we just need to kind of take a step back and go, what am I obsessing over? Like, seriously, what am I obsessing over? What is this obsession?
But it's difficult when
And
you're in it. You can't
it's so
really do that.
but you're in it. You can't. And also, you see everybody else in it, so you want to look. I think you just have to make a choice that you have to trust the process. And for me, it was like, trust the process, go back to the science, understand the evidence-based practices that you are doing. If you keep it up, strength training, recovery practices, all of those, conditioning, mindset, meditate, like all those things, work for you. Keep doing them, and your body will just, it will do what it needs to do. It will maintain itself. This stress that you are carrying, that is what is going to be your downfall. Manage your stress. Make sure you're getting enough sleep. All of that sort of stuff, and that that should sort of, I guess, help keep you on that sort of path. And that's what it did. It did. I'm fortunate. I don't sort of look at myself and go, oh, I do know that genetics plays a part in it, but there's a lot of hard work. There's a lot of sacrifices. I don't drink anymore. I did that. I had my
Been
phone
there, done that.
when no one could see, and there's no evidence of it. And I don't regret it. I'm like, that was an amazing time of my life, but it doesn't serve me anymore. I don't like to feel foggy, and so I've given away some things that's just my choice, and uh, it makes me feel better every day. It makes me be able to get up and do what I want to do, and the way that I want to do it every single day, without to the best of my ability. So yeah.
A lot of faith and a lot of wisdom that turned into KAAIAA. Can you, in a few words, you now just mentioned a little bit the four pillars, but can you explain a bit deeper?
Yes. So KAAAIAA was really a way for me to combine all of the things that I was doing into an efficient solution for people that didn't live in, Bali and have all the time in the world to kind of go and, experience like all this different stuff. So, um, and I was very adamant, because of my music background, I wanted there to be a very strong musical element to it. So I created a soundtrack that goes behind the workout as well. It's a sonic immersion. It's a journey that you go on through the four components of the workout. And look, when I moved back from Bali, I launched it in Australia. I had no idea how it would go. From the first class that I ran, I knew that I was definitely onto it, because I made my sister cry. And my sister doesn't cry at anything. She was the biggest skeptic around any of that sort of woo-woo stuff. And she sat in the class and she had tears streaming down her face. I was like, oh my God, I'm definitely onto something.
Success.
If I could crack that egg, then it's worked. But and it just started building from there. I had a little community space in Bondi where I live, but then we ended up So this was the beginning of 2021. And then in May of 2021, we went into lockdown and I had to close the studio. And I said to my community, it was really busy and I was doing really well and it was great and there was lots of momentum. And I said to my clients, I said, listen, I'll do a free class every morning for you on Zoom to keep up your momentum for the duration of the lockdown. And I thought the lockdown would go for 2 weeks.
We all thought so, right?
It went for 3 months and I did 78 days straight online every single morning. And I ended up, by August, I was getting 700 people a day into my Zoom classes from all around the world. And it was this amazing place for them to just come. I would always start the class dancing to some horrendously daggy 80s song, like lip syncing, like it was my job, and just doing the worst dance, just to kind of make everybody have a giggle, bring them into the room, let everybody feel like, you know, I'm not the most ludicrous person out there. And then we'd get into the class and then I'd always stick around and we'd have chats. And it was such an amazing time. And I almost feel like I want to go back there sometimes into that little bubble of...
Yeah, why did you stop?
Because we all came out of lockdown. Everybody was allowed back out into the world, and which was great. Obviously, we didn't, you know, that was a very strange time. But after that, what happened was I didn't go back into a physical space. I sort of toured KAAIAA around it. So just to give you context, KAAIAA, the workout now, is only one small component of what I offer in my studio. Mm-hmm. And so it's a very experiential workout. It's something that you can have a profound experience or breakthrough in. It's an emotional journey as well as a physical one. But when I eventually opened my own studio, I very quickly realized that it wasn't enough to sustain a business model in terms of the studio. And I was looking at my clients, and my clients were all like, how do you explain this body? Like, how do you look like you at your age? And I was like, well, it's a combination of obviously 15 years of training, but strength training and this and that and the other. And I said, actually, it's really interesting because since I turned, so I'm 48, but when I turned sort of 44, some of the things that I was doing sort of stopped having the same effect. And I was noticing that was a bit of a theme through my clients, saying, how come 2 years ago when I could just kind of get away with like a Pilates class here and a walk, now it's not working? What can I do? And so what I did is I came up with a program that combined everything that I do and that sort of worked for me, that's very specifically tailored to a female physiology and a female that is entering perimenopause or menopause. So it's all hormone driven. It's a lot of strength training. We do some impact training, so we'll plyo stuff. We do a lot of grip strength work. We do a lot of things that, and the recovery aspect of it, so there's a mobility aspect to it, is sort of baked into the program. So it's not like I'll go and lift some heavy weights and then you have to go off and, you know, do a yoga class or something. The whole program is centered around movement, mobility, mindset, and strength training. And that is, and then we have a whole nutrition piece as well. And so once I became really granular around like my people, because they're my people, I am the people. It's me. It's my demographic. You know, they don't want to be taught by a 20-year-old dude that doesn't know how to talk to them, let alone train them. They want a space where they feel like they are like the main character. And so that's what I've created with KAAIAA.
And we just touched one subject that I think is dear to you and I wanted to talk about in perimenopause. This whole, now it's becoming trendy. And I want to just, big disclaimer, yeah, funny, the dirty word, but big disclaimer, when I was something like 22, I remember thinking, or someone asked me about, at a certain year, like in, I don't remember the year, but are you going to perform for that? It's going to be the Olympic there. And I'm like, oh, I'm going to be like over 30. Like, no, of course not. Like, there was nobody.
You old hag.
No, yeah, there was nobody that that was over 30 in my field. And now they're 40 something. I'm 42. I'm still on stage. I'm not training 8 hours per day anymore, but also I don't think that was very healthy either. That was not for the look, that was for the skills. So there's a few skills that I let go as well. But so now it's a bit like, oh, we can train over 30. Oh, we can train over, like, train to be fit over 40. And menopause was a taboo. It was a thing, like, I don't know how you grew up, but for me, like, it was a taboo. We wouldn't talk about.
I didn't even know what it was. It was a thing. I mean,
Yeah.
just you don't learn.
It was kind of a joke of like
mind-blowing.
old guys that would say that their wife was frustrated or something, but that's it. And now we talk about menopause and we actually are more cognizant of what is happening. And it's not just happening in one go. You don't fall into like a hole and then this is happening. But still, it sounds, I would say to my 25 years old peers, terrible, like nightmare, scary. What is so scary about perimenopause?
I mean, I don't think it's scary. I think it's just because it's scary because it is so unknown, and we're now discovering that there are so many symptoms that go misdiagnosed or undiagnosed. And I think up until very recently, even GPs just threw pills at it, and they weren't treating the root cause, which was the perimenopause or the menopause itself or the hormone deficiency. They were treating the symptoms. So you get an antidepressant if you were depressed, you get a sleeping pill if you couldn't sleep, so they were medicalizing menopause in a way that actually wasn't treating the core root of the problem, which was this hormone deficiency or decline.
Change.
I mean, you can bet that if men's balls started to shrivel up and stop working when they hit 40, there would be a huge uproar and at least some kind of, they wouldn't just tell them to kind of cut them off and off you go for the rest of your life. You know what I mean? It's
yeah, it's like I remember when women were having everything removed because they had some discomfort. Oh, let's just remove your whole reproductive system. Like, thank God that's not.
Well, I had a partial hysterectomy last year because I had a massive fibroid growing off the side of my uterus. I also had complications from a polyp, the advice that I was given was that it would be harder to take it off my uterus than to just remove the whole thing because it was the size of a small turkey. It was massive. Wow. And look, so I said, okay, I'm not attached to my uterus. It doesn't define, that is not something that I go, oh, I don't have a womb, I'm not a woman anymore. That's not me. But do I get to keep my ovaries? Like, what are the implications of this? Is it going to push me into menopause? What's going to happen? And luckily I was able to keep my ovaries. So although I don't have a uterus and I don't have a period and I don't have a cervix or fallopian tubes and I obviously can't have another baby, I still ovulate, which is very odd.
I know. So I didn't know that was possible.
Yes, and so the egg just gets released into my abdominal cavity, and it's funny because I still have like PMS symptoms, and every time the new moon comes, I'm like, oh, this is when I'm turned into a mega bitch, and I'm about to have a period. It's interesting. There is such a long road, I think, for a lot of women where they are suffering in something that because they define menopause as if you haven't had a period in 365 days, then you are in menopause. If you have a period at 11 months and 28 days, then that's it. You got to start again. And it is such a ridiculous scale or something to measure it onto. It just doesn't make any sense when someone could have been suffering with symptoms for 5 years prior to that, 10 years prior to that. And now, thank goodness, they are starting to put a little bit of money, a little bit of time. We're being heard around hormone replacement therapy. There's lots of other...
But there are more women also that are doctors now, like compared to 20 years, 40 years ago, 60 years ago. So that's also one of the reasons why.
Absolutely.
And to
I hope that it doesn't... I really hope this doesn't just be some sort of passing moment.
Trend.
I do think, and I don't think it will. I think us as a generation, if you think about Generation X, Generation Y, I think that we won't let it die. We are now finally finding our voice and the confidence to be able to do the things that we want to do. And I mean, some of these women come in who have never lifted a weight in their life, and after 8 weeks, they are just machines because they are dedicated and they turn up and they feel good and they finally are like, God, I just love feeling strong again. And that's the best part of it.
And so why do women come in the first place to you? I know that a lot of training journey start because of an aesthetic thing, like whatever, like divorce, then I don't feel like I have a good body anymore, stuff like that. Unfortunately, it should come from somewhere else, but that's what it is. It might be a better motivator. What do they complain about the most? Like what is your crowd? Fatigue, joint pain, all of these things are...
That comes out when we sit down and have our consult with them. But most of them come in because they feel lost. And they feel like they've lost their identity. They feel like they don't know what to do or where to go. They feel unseen. They feel unsexy. They feel unfuckable. They want to feel like themselves again. And they want to come to a space where they feel safe to express how they really feel. And I think what they like about this is that it's tailored to them. It's for them. There's no stupid question, and everybody that comes in has something. We are the house of niggles. Whether it's a frozen shoulder or a hip replacement or ankle issue or whatever it is, everybody has got something to contend with. And we, I think they want to come in. I think they want to have a laugh. I think they like walking up the stairs and knowing that it's, for some of these women, it is the best hour of their day. And if I can give them that, if they can leave with a smile on their face and make a friend in the process, in the community, then that is my job done. And you know what's really interesting, Eric, I have to say, because a lot of them come in with this goal. I want to lose X amount of kilos. I want to do da-da-da. But after about 2 weeks, 1 week, that's common. They don't even talk about that again. It's about how they're feeling. And it's funny because they'll come in and be like, oh my God, this pair of jeans that I haven't worn in 5 years all of a sudden fits me. But they don't equate that to, I tell them to chuck out the scales. We're not doing that. This is not about numbers. This is about how you feel. It's about standing taller. It's about this process of, and then all of that will come. And the confidence, we call week 6 crop top week. Because all of a sudden they all walk up the stairs in like little crop tops and like, check me out. And it happens every single cycle.
Oh, wow. But that's good that it's about the process, because there is no destination at fitness or wellness. No. Like, you're going to have to do that every day for the rest of your life.
Exactly.
It's not.
The question is,
it's not a
what
cheat.
happens after it's finished? Where am I going? I'm not going anywhere else. I'm like, you're staying now. You're in. Yeah. Sorry.
How important do you think that the community is, and why?
Everything. It is everything. They have now done research around the effects of loneliness, and they've equated it to as bad as smoking for you. It's become an epidemic, and this social piece, especially when you get into your later years. And don't forget, women on the whole live longer than men. They are going to end up being alone. And it is so important that we keep our independence. We need to make sure that we are strong, that we can walk to our friend's place, that we can walk and do things with our friends, that we can... I'm not training them for tomorrow.
Yeah.
I'm training them for in 20 years.
Yeah.
That is the goal. It's so that they can stay mobile and self-sufficient, and that they can enjoy their life. And I want to try and close the gap between the lifespan and the health span and make that a little bit less of a slow decline off the cliff. I want them to enjoy their life and have as as much quality of life as they can for as long as they can.
Very smart indeed. Also, when I think about, when I think of course, there's a lot of program online, and like the fitness community is just enormous, and there's so many propositions of every type, and a lot of them are the ones that are working, because of course we want to see young and amazing bodies. That's what sells, and your image, let's be honest, also sells. You have a very impressive built. Well, that's what it is. It comes from an athlete. Like, I've been working out 8 hours per day since the age of 4, and these are my arms. And so that helps. But like, as a performer, for example, for more than 3 decades, or I don't count anymore, I'm still flexible. I'm still very powerful. I have better skills. I have better movement quality. I still can bear a lot of volume on a daily basis. I have endurance, all of these things. But what I see is changing is the recovery process, the recovery timing. So this is the main thing that has gone down, or that I have to reassess. So I assume also that your programs are not this every day, no excuse, go, like destroy yourself, because now we're going to lose a few more knees and a few more ankles, right? So I want you to talk about the recovery process, and what are the most important recovery parts.
100%. Look, our program is at its baseline, you're required to do 4 sessions a week. 2 of them are strength sessions. One is a KAAIAA class for your mindset, and one is a class called Extend, which is a mobility class. So they're your 4 sessions, okay? In and amongst that, we also we have a relationship with a recovery centre that's a couple of doors down from us, which has saunas, steam, ice baths, infrareds, and we encourage them to go and do that. I have an amazing machine in our studio called his name is George Clooney. We've called him George Clooney. He's an infrared roller massaging machine, which we've named George because everybody wants to sit on him. Which is fine. But he's amazing. He just does lymphatic drainage. He's an infrared, so he heats up, he rolls, he massages every part of you. We can't stress enough the importance of recovery. Even in our sessions, the program strength sessions, there's recovery time built into the session. These women, we're not bulletproof. Most of all of them will have some form of osteopenia or osteoporosis. We need to make sure that we are protecting our joints, that we are looking after our bones, that we are strengthening ourselves from the inside out. And so recovery as a concept is not a nice to have, it is a must have, and it's baked into the program.
You also mentioned a lot about life transitions and so on, letting go of past versions of yourself. That's something that I kept thinking about during the whole conversation. What is that about? Why do we need to let go of past versions of ourselves? Maybe they're good, actually. Maybe, like, what does that mean to you? Or what is this teaching more specifically about?
I don't think I've let go of any past version of myself. I've just been able to let in a new version. So I am the same fundamental human. I've just learnt a little bit more patience.
Evolved.
I've got a little bit more wisdom, and I've learnt how to prioritize emotional things so that I can navigate and navigate a desired outcome for myself. I've learnt to stop being a people pleaser. I've learned to stop being so selfish sometimes. And I've learned there's a balance around, I'm a very driven human. I don't believe in work-life.
Surprise.
Well, I don't. I think that's not entirely true. I don't believe in work-life balance if you are trying to build something and you want to sort of become a success at it in a short period of time. I think that you have to throw everything you have at it, if that's what you want. If it's not, that's fine, But for me, I'm not all or nothing, but if I believe in something and I have committed myself to something, and there are other people that rely on me for something, whether it's investors or family or my clients or my staff, I do not want to let anybody down. I don't. So I try and be, the best mother that I can be given my circumstances. And I don't always win at that, let me tell you. There's moments where I really go, I don't know how I can do all this, because I'm a single parent as well. So it's just the struggle and the juggle is real. But I make it work. I give it everything I've got. Because at the end of the day, if it doesn't work, I never want to second guess myself, and I never want to say I didn't give it my best shot. So past versions, I don't know, they're all still here, and some of them show up and rear their head when I don't want them to. But they do. You just try and get the newest version to sort of go, stop it. So I think they all serve a purpose, and they all have contributed to the person that is sitting here in front of you today. So, I'm just going to turn the light on because it's getting a little bit dark in here. Hang on one sec.
It's just the beginning of the day here, so it's like the other way around.
Yes, I know. Well, So, so I think that I embrace all aspects of me. There's not a single version. There's parts of me that I was like, I don't really need to repeat the behaviors of that person again. But I'm a bit of a stable table when it comes to who I am.
I think you're the first person, because I have talked about redefining oneself, moving, especially from like Olympians or a performer's career. At some point, you need to change into something different, and no one ever picture it like that. To me, what you just explained is exactly what maturity is, because you can't just jump onto the next train. You have to bring everything with you, and that's what makes you who you are today. And I think that's a beautiful place to start to wind down as well. I don't want to take 1,000 hours of your day. You're very generous with your time, with your personality. You're very open, and I'm sure the whole community appreciates you so much for that as well. I want to know, what are your wildest dreams for the future?
I would like to see KAAIAA scale. I'd like to open some more studios. I'd like to take it overseas. I think there is a real opportunity to, and I would like to also, in tandem with that, take it into some communities that probably need it the most, some marginalised communities, some Indigenous communities, some regional areas. I think there's a real need for women's health in terms of longevity, safety, confidence, all of that. And I'd like to really, I'd like to make a difference in those areas. And I think that can definitely be done. It's something that I'm really passionate about. And I want to see these women kind of taking back control of their own health and knowing that this isn't the beginning of the end. It's the beginning of something new.
So. Oh, beautiful. All about giving as well. Well, thank you so much for your time today, Leah.
Thank you, Erika. Thank you for having me. I've enjoyed it.
Of course. And it's nice also to get to know you through everything that you're sharing. And I think you're really making a huge step ahead for everyone, for us to follow behind.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you, Leah.
Appreciate it.